Okay, so here we are. As promised and long overdue, the setup comparison between several different setup makers. I should have renamed them all, but I didn't, and it just now occurred to me. So, yeah. So what we'll do is we'll take the setup, we'll go look and make sure we're saying the right one, and then we will go run 10 to 20 laps. We will see what the fastest lap is. We will see what the lap time at the end, and we'll compare then we'll do the math on, the average lap time per setup so that people can compare. This is a question that comes up quite often, which setup is the best, and obviously a lot of times it's going to come down to personal preference. So yeah, it's going to be different for everybody. But this is just me and generalizations, and hopefully it helps some folks out. It is worth noting that I am using the setups I'm using, I paid for or got myself. They were not given to me. They were not free. They were not, or in some cases they were free, but free downloads and whatnot. For instance, the Craig setup is I used my Amazon Prime account, which I did a video on, and got the setups from there because I have a free Craig's renewal every month. So we got that going. So what we'll do is I will just start, and I'm going to try and avoid showing very much of the setups. I don't think that would be fair to the people that make them. So we're just going to start at the top and work our way down. We've got the Gen X setup. This is the OSR setup for this week. I'm not going to mess with the qualifying setups, so we'll do the Rocket Racing setup. This is the Maconi's, and then this is the Craig setup shop. So, like I said, we'll just start at the top and work our way down. Like I said, this is the Gen X setup. So, let's go put some laps on it and just see how we do, and we'll check out the tire temperatures and everything once we're done. And this will be kind of a long video, so you can, obviously skip around to what you want to see. I am using the dynamic track. I just literally went to the official series and then spawned a test session for myself. This is the one I used to race in yesterday. I have not practiced with any setup other than this, so I'm driving it the way I would drive it. Your results may vary. And I will put the links to each setup maker in the comments on Facebook, and I'll try and get them all in the description on YouTube. However, I highly recommend just following both. Might end up doing the same thing with the cup setups tomorrow. Somebody was asking about the cup setups yesterday, and while I think it's pretty safe to assume that was not good. That was probably driver error, so we'll start over here. Oop. Hopefully this time I don't spin it. I didn't spin it all day yesterday, I don't think. But the track temperature might be different than it was yesterday too. So, which actually provides a bit of an advantage because I can't guarantee you what the track temperature was yesterday versus today. I didn't bother checking. I don't keep that much information around. I'm not going to say it's not useful. Colder temperatures, more grip, that kind of thing, but I will say that I don't get as much benefit from it because I'm not one of the top drivers out there. Take it a little easier through 1 and 2 this time. So far from what I've seen, the Gen X setups I've used, I have liked. They have felt good to me. They all seem to be a little squirrely on the start, especially on these 1.5 miles like Charlotte and here. The 2 most recent ones I've used, I used one at Vegas. Worked really well at Vegas, but again, squirrely for a few laps before I could really go full throttle. And again, some of that can be attributed to hotter track temperatures, things like that. We are at Kansas, and I am not going to drive below the white line. It makes the vehicle too unstable when you come up off back up onto the banking, and it increases your tire wear. So I would say that this would be a good comparison for the average driver like myself. I like to think I'm mediocre. A little drifty there, coming out of the turn, and you can see because of the dynamic weather, the temperature on the track will change throughout this test session. Drop down to this low line here and just see how we do. Obviously the track and air temperature seems to be a bit hotter. I am running slower than I was yesterday. I'm cracking the throttle going into the turns 1 and 3 just for a moment, settle the nose, and then take off. I did test a little bit with just left foot tap on the brake to set the nose. Utterly useless here, so go around until we complete lap 13. I believe that'll make it 10 laps, and then we'll do some quick maths. I will say that Gen X, it has a Discord channel, and they do not have a website to my knowledge, but they have a Discord channel, and their Discord, the people that build their setups are pretty active there. I can only give my experience and the experience of people I know as regards to customer service. I know those Gen X folks, they update their setups regularly. I don't know. It seems like to a degree they do it based on customer comments. And I'll speak more to each one as we get around and as we test with them. There's a few that I know personally I've worked with for different reasons, and then there's some I just know by reputation, and I'm just going to give my opinions, my thoughts, and take it for what you will. And that is 13 laps. So let's stop without burning the tires up completely. Okay, get out of the truck right quick. Go look at the tires. Okay, so we have only about a 5% tire wear, which, whatever the track temperature is this time, it's definitely better than it was yesterday for me. Let me make a couple quick notes so I can put them in the comments. And then let's go look at our laps. And obviously that first time out, the 31.5, we'll go ahead and list it, even though it wasn't in the 10 lap. And then if I need to, I can go back and do the same for the other ones and try and run a really, really hot lap. And then it looks like we've got 10 laps. So I'm just going to do to the 100th of a second, 31.77. You can see my lap times are not the most consistent in the world, but so I obviously did some maths wrong. Alright. Tell you what, for the lap times I will just show it, and then I will put the averages into the comments afterwards to save time, because I don't want you guys sitting here all afternoon watching this. Meant for this to be a little bit faster, but I wasn't expecting how slow and uncooperative my fingers would be when trying to type. 31.706. Do you see a pretty consistent time and fall off based on, my laps. And 208 and 232. Okay. And so now we'll move on to the next setup. So I'm going to the garage, my setups. I made a folder specifically for this. This will be the OSR setup. So let's go put 10 laps on the OSR setup and see where we're at. Now, about OSR, because it is a little bit different. It is free. You can donate via PayPal, and I recommend if you take a lot of setups from them. Like last season, I donated a couple of different times simply because I was using their setups quite often for quite a few different series, but they are free. It's just kind of the right thing to do to throw some money their way. There might be other free. Gen X's are free, although I do believe they have some for sale. You just have to go and take a look. We will start counting. It looks like on lap 15. I will say for OSR, I had great success with them last season. That's what I was using for my entire Super Late Model series, except for 1 or 2 tracks. And anything open I ran last season, that's what I was running with. So we started on lap 15, we'll go and complete lap 25. Alrighty, we're off. The thing with OSR is they have multiple setup builders, and it's more of a community effort type thing. So people in the community build setups, share them there. I'm not sure what the requirements are for them to do so. So one thing I found last season, especially with certain cars, was that there were certain builders that I preferred. Don't think it'd be, if I could remember the names, I'd list. I know there was one. There's a couple of Smiths that did super late models, and I liked their setups a lot. Had some really good finishes with them. But every one of them I had to do a certain amount of tuning with to get to handle the way I want, or to handle my driving style, and I can post some resources for that as well. Any setup you get anywhere will probably need a little air pressure tweak, usually. Some don't. I've driven some setups that don't, that I can just straight up win the race out of the box. So it really becomes a matter of, does this setup builder, does it fit your driving style? Now, OSR, like I said, is community effort, so there's really not a lot of adjustment, updating, etc., etc. You pretty much get what you get Monday night, and that's what you're running for the week. If you want it updated, adjusted, whatever, then you're the one that has to update it and adjust it. I ran OSR setups in a couple of open truck races, open cup races. Do not remember what else. And I'll go ahead and just mention it. I'm taking the word of other people on this one. There is not a VRS setup in this test. Here's the general comment I got from people who have VRS. They absolutely love the telemetry, the coaching, all the other features they get, but they get their setups somewhere else. That's just, that is a general opinion, and your opinions may vary. I know VRS has oval stuff. I think they work with Ray Alfala on their setups and their coaching and telemetry for ovals, but I also believe, in my opinion, is that VRS is more of a road course based service, whereas Gen X is more oval based, Maconi is more oval based. I am not sure on Rocket. I know that they've got a combination of dirt and Maconi and Gen X. Everybody has setups for a lot of stuff, but a lot of them don't have road setups yet. Wow. Okay. Getting a little tight in the middle of 3 and 4, and then a little loose off getting back on the throttle. I'm having to come out of the throttle a hair more, but I am coming into the turn lower and getting a straighter shot off on 1 and 2. It feels like either the track temperature has changed dramatically or this thing is not sticking. And you could adjust accordingly. Like I said, I will post some resources. However, I will touch more on the resources when we do the Maconi setup. And this is starting to get tight off of 2. The Gen X stayed pretty neutral the whole run. And granted, these are just 10 lap runs, so, you know, the current race is 80 laps. But you will start seeing tire wear after a few laps, especially if you're running in the draft faster than this. And at some point, we might, we got really tight off 2 there. At some point, we might even try doing a setup with some AI on the track, or work with some of my league and teammates. Might do that with some cup cars. Cup cars aren't as affected by aero. Trucks aren't hugely affected by aero, but I did notice, I did notice yesterday in the race, as the tires wore, being behind somebody tightened the truck up a lot, especially mid-turn. Okay, let's go take a gander at our tires. So 93s. Roughly. Okay. We'll go take a quick gander at the laps. So we did run our fastest lap of 31.3 in the OSR setup. And we'll write these times down. It looks like our lap times were overall a bit faster. Yeah. I wrote one down wrong. Okay. 639, 613. 790, 694, 814, Okay, we're not taking that last lap, so we can probably factor in that I went an extra lap in that car around that setup. So those are the two free setups out there. The two free ones that I'm aware of. So now we'll hop over to the Rocket Racing Kansas race setup. Remember, I'm not testing qualifying setups, so. Quick drink of water. Try not to go an extra lap this time. And I will admit to never having raced a Rocket Racing setup. I will also state that I know several people who swear by them, would not drive anything else, and have multiple wins with them. I will also state, if you pay for a setup, do not share it. These guys, they are running businesses. They are actually paying people to help build setups. Maconi and Rocket both have teams of people who build setups that get paid to do this. So by sharing your setups, especially sharing it to everybody, Maconi, and I'm sure the guys at Rocket have the same opinion. If you want to share a setup 1 week with a friend to let them test it, great. And if your friend likes it, is going to use it a lot, have them pay the $5 to $7 or whatever it is for that setup. Just have them throw a little money over to these guys, because they are trying to run a business. So and these guys are really good at what they do. I mean, some of these guys built setups for the pros, for the Road to Pro, and for the Pro Series. So, it's the right thing to do. If you get a setup from somebody, you like it, you race it a lot, definitely just throw them a few bucks to at least be grateful. Having never driven a Rocket Racing setup, I can tell you that it feels good. I feel like I can push just a little bit harder. As far as their customer service goes, what I can tell you is I've not heard any complaints about their customer service. If you have a problem with the setup, they will flat out come in. I've seen people complain, oh, I got beat by this setup, or my setup wasn't as fast, and they've gone and made it right. They've had test sessions, they work with people, I'm pretty sure they offer coaching. Don't quote me on that one. I know a couple of these other ones do, but and I'm pretty sure I saw that Rocket offered coaching, but I apologize for that. I should have double checked that one. I can tell you that I am kind of liking it. It definitely gives me more confidence going into the turns than the previous setups. Let's say that. Got a little tight going through 1 and 2, but that might have been on me and the line I was taking. So let's just flat foot. Yeah, that was me and the line I was taking, because that time I was just flat and no complaints. And I do know that Rocket sponsors a few leagues, they sponsor a few drivers, they have bulk discounts, things like that. You know, if you're spending money on setups, definitely go with a setup shop that the setup fits your particular need, and B, has discounts, or in the situation like with Craig's, where if you have an Amazon Prime account, guess what? You get a free Craig's setup shop account. I will state that Craig's setup shop is way more road focused. They do not have late mods, super late mods. I don't know on the SK mods or the Wayland. I had no desire to run those until recently, and now I'm actually going to be giving those a try. Just doing some testing this weekend to see if I want to run them or not. That was on me. I got a little, and we'll be stopping when I come back to the start-finish line. If this lap is not up to snuff, it is driver, although I am getting a little bit of push out of 3 and 4. Now, saying that I'm getting a little push out of 3 and 4 on my 10th lap, I know from experience from people that have worked with a lot with Rocket, if I were to contact them immediately after running a race and say, hey, I had this problem, they would go out, fix it, and within 24 hours they'd have a new setup, they would update it, and anybody who buys their setup is going to get the updated version. So we're looking at 6% tire wear with Rocket. And let's go take a gander at some lap times here. So some really good lap times. And it looks like the only lap in the 32-second range was that last one, and the entry to 1 and 2 is definitely driver error. 564. And generally speaking, your fastest lap will be your second lap. 509.53. 670, 647. Yeah, I'm just writing these down so I can do some averages later and put out some more data. Okay. And just looking at that, looks like our fastest lap again was the second lap, 31.4. The Gen X was a 31.5. The OSR was a 31.3. However, so far, the most fall off has been on the Gen X setup. Or, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Gen X seemed to have more fall off. The OSR second most. So far, the Rocket setup is definitely the Alright, so we're going to load Maconi. Now, Maconi I have personal experience with, so I can give a little bit more information there. So, get my gloves back on here. Alright, so we'll start on that 38. Yep. And remember, again, that everybody's different. Everybody's driving style is different. Track temperatures vary. Grip levels vary. Yada, yada, yada. The one thing I will say about most of these paid ones, I know for a fact Maconi and Rocket do this, that if, like a few weeks ago, they did an update after the season started, they make the necessary changes to fit that particular update. Just taking it easy on this first lap, get some heat in the tires. Now, from my experience, again, I'll come back to Maconi does have a team. Jeff Maconi, however, is very, very active with his driver, or with his team, and with their setups, and handling the communications and everything. And the customer service is second to none, in my humble opinion. A little loose coming through 3 and 4 there, but that again can be driver error. One person's loose setup is another person's too tight setup. So, and I'm not watching the lap times as I go around, so definitely feel the grip. Pushed a little too hard and got loose there. Got greedy. Jeff, they did put out the middle of the night last night, this morning, depending on where you live, they put out a setup guide. It's basically instructions on how to build a setup for an oval car. There are a lot of resources out there that are free that give you setup information and how to tune a setup, but there's not a lot for free to build a setup from the ground up specific to yourself and be fast. A little bit of a bump there on the back stretch can cause the truck to get a little squirrely, which happened on that last lap. Some setups are more planted in that situation than others, and I totally screwed that up. This lap is just on me. We'll do an extra lap just to make up for that, because obviously I'm about a second slower than I should be. And again, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can get Craig's Setup Shop, you can get Gen X and OSR for free, and it's $5 to $7 a setup from Rocket. Or I'm sorry, like let's say 5 to 10, so I'm not causing problems. $5 to $10 a setup from Maconi and Rocket. So I just encourage you to pick a week, maybe your favorite track, go get all 5 setups. Spend 15-20 bucks. If you're gonna buy setups anyway, you might as well. And test them yourself. Don't just take my word for anything. You should always test your own stuff. I will say that this setup feels just a little bit more squirrely, but it also feels like I can push it just a hair harder. If I'm on the right line, I think I could put it this way, a better driver could push this setup a little bit harder than I am and get a little bit more out of it, because it is a little on the squirrely side and it is trying to go faster. All of the setups could go faster in the hands of a better driver. Just no disputing that, but from my personal perspective, this is the one I feel like I'm leaving something out on the track. I think if I spent some more time with it, I could get a little bit more out of it. Now, Maconi's customer service, they sponsor teams, they sponsor leagues, they sponsor races, they sponsor individuals, they work with a lot of people. Dave Cam, the YouTuber, he uses their setups for his oval stuff. So that's a pretty good recommendation right there, in my opinion. And let's check some tires. Remember, we had a throwaway lap in there. So 91, we'll say it would have been a 92 or a 93. If I hadn't had to take the extra lap, we'll call it 92. And let's go take a gander at the lap times. Wow. Okay. Prior to throwaway lap, it looks to me like the overall lap times, while not the fastest lap I've laid down, were definitely some of the best. And 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Get all these written down right quick. 413, 499. 426, 571. I definitely have to say, looking at these lap times, the first lap was faster than the Rocket. The second one was 1/100th of a second slower. The third was 1/100th of a second faster, and then they're consistently faster up until I screwed up. Honestly, I really should give that one another go. And I might go do just an additional video. 32, 081, and 201. because you can tell that on that lap I really ate up the tires when I got squirrely and had to catch the car. Okay, so now what we have left is to do the Craig setup shop. And my setups, Kansas, Craig's. Okay. My setups, Kansas. Okay. I literally downloaded this setup right before the race started, or right before I opened the session, because I had to actually renew my. Today was the day my Amazon thingy had to be renewed. 2020 NASCAR C. Okay. Let's try doing it this way. Okay. That answers that. I'll tell you, I don't want to run a setup. I don't want to have to go adjust it. If Craig's updates their setups or we figure out what's wrong, because I don't want to show off the setup. If we figure out why it's not working and I can fix it, or if I get something new from Craig's, great, I'll update it. But what I can tell you is that Craig's setups are very road focused, and they have the absolute best road setups at this time. I would run their road setups, and I do run their road setups for almost everything. Unless a friend has a better setup, I'm running a Craig setup. Um, yeah, with that being said, their oval setups have been decent, but comparable. I tested for Charlotte last week with their setup. There it is. And their Charlotte setup passes. That's funny. I don't think it'd be right, but their Charlotte setup was wicked loose. Like almost unbearable. I had to make several adjustments to make it drivable. And then it was wicked loose for 5 laps, and then neutral for 5 laps, and then extremely tight. So I was fighting the car the whole time. Based on the data I'm looking at now, and granted, I really should give Maconi's a second run. I might, like I said, I may come back and redo that. If you're buying a setup, test a Rocket setup, test a Maconi setup. If I was doing a league race, I would probably run. Uh, if I was running an open, I know I would run a Maconi. If I was running a league setup, I would probably put in, or a league race, I would probably put in more laps between the two of them and do a better comparison. But I will probably try and put in another truck race this week after that abysmal finish yesterday. And then I will gladly um, run the Maconi in the open just because I felt like it had more I could give it. It was set up for those speeds. If I went to run a time trial, I'd definitely run the Rocket setup. It was better by myself. I think the Maconi in the draft and the speed would be better. Uh, all of them had fairly equal tire wear, pretty equal speed. The OSR was the fastest, but it also had the second most fall off. I got one good lap in at a 31.3, and then really started falling off after putting in that really fast lap, whereas I could run 31.4s, 31.5s in the Maconis and the Rockets forever. The Maconi was, just looking at it, the first 5 laps was faster than everybody overall. So this is how to suck at iRacing, in my opinion. You guys, hopefully it helps somebody out there.